Welcome back on this December 29th Wisconsin day. It is approximately 37 degrees out right now. Very uncharacteristic for Wisconsin. And I'll throw in a little bit of a clip here in a minute. And I had a couple of Canadian geese flying around today. Apparently they don't know what direction they wanted to go, so they were back in this area. Out today I've got my M1A and a AR-10 and an 18-inch. Now the video I'm going to be doing is not on either one of these rifles. It's actually on my Mossberg MVP Thunder Ranch Edition here. Now what makes this rifle interesting, I'll show you here in a second. It in fact utilizes not only the magazine that is used on the AR-10 platform, show you that it does have a big enough magazine release on it, but also the same magazine that's used on the M1A also locks it into place. Now the interesting note is with the M1A magazine is with the way the magazine is designed, it gives you a last round bolt hold open. That is not the same feature that's found on the AR-10 PMAG. So keep that into consideration depending on what kind of model you're going to be running for the rifle magazine. So yeah, last round bolt open. Now this rifle, being a Thunder Ranch model, these traditionally came with a 16-inch barrel. The Thunder Ranch model is an 18-inch medium heavy contour with, of course, the open sights on it and a Picatinny rail. I've got it mounted up with a Leupold 3.5 to 10 with a Leupold QD mounts on it, so you can pull the rings with scope right off and then go right back to your iron sights. Now of course the muzzle is threaded with an end cap. The threading is 5/8 by 24. It's got a AccuTrigger style trigger system on it, which isn't too bad. It's got a large flange on the side of the back of the bolt there, which actually, flip it around the other way, protects the bolt release there. And again, standard 2-position safety, nothing fantastic there. It does allow you, with it on safe, to be able to still operate the bolt if you want to unload the rifle with it in safe. This does not have a bolt lock, which is common on a lot of my Savages that I shoot, which, I mean, some people like that, some people don't. So I guess next up, I'm gonna get up my bench rest system here on my table and we'll do some shooting with this. December 29th, Southwest Wisconsin, and I have geese still flying around. I don't think they know what direction they're supposed to be going. Okay, so off camera, I went and made sure I have the rifle sighted in. This is the first time I've ever actually shot this Mossberg. As I mentioned, it's a Mossberg MVP Thunder Ranch Edition in their, I don't think it's the patrol rifle. It could be. I'll have to go to the website and look it up again. I guess first thing I gotta do, try to save this ammo, well, brass. I fired 6 rounds so far. Stay. A little bit of a flinch, but I think we have a dead round. I think this time I'll actually let it sit in there for a little while. We'll say, there we go. Magazine release is a little hard to get to. Okay, check that little guy. Let's try another one. Go down, take a look at the target, make a little bit more zero, well, zero out the scope a little bit better. It looks like I'm pretty good on elevation. I just need to change it on windage. Make sure everything is zeroed, and then I will reset my zero stop up here back to 0 again for the scope. Okay, so I went down, checked my target, and from there I've come to the conclusion that I need to adjust it 3 inches off to the right. Well, I adjusted it 3 inches, or actually 13 clicks, because it was about 3.32 is what the app said that I used to measure my groups. I'll might actually put that up just right above the rifle here, so you can see what that group looked like and see what MOA it's shooting. These are 175 grain AAC OTM rounds, same as what I was shooting out of my Savage 110 Tactical and the AR-10 Armalite that I have. So from there, I'm going to shoot 2 5-round groups, and in between the 5-round groups, I'm going to take the scope off of the rifle and then readjust it back down to the same finger-tight torque specs that I have on it. So let's see if there's any change of point of impact. Last round. It's like I had one flyer. That is as easy as it is to take the scope off, thanks to these quick detach weaver rings by Leopold. Now, as I mentioned, this does have iron sights on it. And the thing to remember when you're putting your scope back on is I can mark up that ring a little bit there. I want to make sure it goes back to the exact same spot that you had it on originally. That might actually be a little bit tighter. So we're going to see if that does affect the point of impact. Two more. I'm not counting. Writhing into my pocket. Barrel's definitely getting hot. I can actually see mirage coming off of the barrel now through the scope. I have the scope cranked up to 10 power. Okay. About the only major, I think, update they could do is if they have this magazine release actually more as a paddle you could grab onto, but then that would possibly facilitate a accidental magazine release. So I can kind of see why they didn't do it. And it is kind of hard to get your finger up in there and get it to eject, but all in all, a rifle that can utilize both M1A and AR-10 magazines, anything that's an SR25 pattern or the PMAG AR-10 magazines, same concept there. That's a pretty cool idea that I'm surprised a lot of these big competition guns, PRS guns, that kind of a platform didn't utilize a magazine that you could carry more than possibly 10 rounds in, like the Accuracy International, the AI CS magazines. So yeah, with these you can get the 10 rounder I have here, 25, 20. I mean, it's a lot better option as to how many rounds you can get. 5 rounders, because I've got an M1A magazine that's a 5 rounder, that's a flush fit. So yeah, let's go down, take a look at the target and see what kind of a spread we have on the target for taking the scope off and putting the scope back on. Also give the chance for the rifle barrel to cool down some. Okay, so this is the group that I initially was shooting. The first 3 rounds were going in at 25 yards. I was shooting in a kneeling position. And then the second 3 with the 6-round group here was at 50 yards, back in a prone position, unsupported, no bipod. So that was just to get a rough sight in. This was the first 3-round group that I shot back at 100 yards off of the bench rest. And that's a little over an inch group there. Now this group up here, the 10 rounds is 5 rounds shooting from the bench, then remove the scope and put the scope back on, and 5 more rounds. Now most of this left to right play is all me shooting off of that bench. Now, probably getting down to that second 5 rounds that I was shooting, I was definitely seeing some the shooter fatigue. The recoil was fairly snappy on that 18-inch Mossberg MVP Thunder Ranch Edition. But all in all, I'd say a vertical spread, I was expecting to see that once the barrel was starting to heat up. It is a medium heavy profile, so it shouldn't walk as much as that, but that too could just be me as well. But all in all, I'd say you got a primary group there of a little over a 2-inch vertical spread with 1, 2, 3, I'd say about a 4-inch horizontal spread. Probably the rifle's going to shoot a lot better than what I do. All in all, though, I'd say pretty good. As I mentioned, that was a MVP Thunder Ranch by Mossberg, chambered in 308. So that is going to conclude my video on my Mossberg MVP Thunder Ranch model that was chambered in 308. Quick overview again, it does run off of both M1A magazines and AR-10, the Magpul magazines, anything that is an SR25 pattern magazine. I do like the fluted bolt on it, and it's got a nice oversized bolt knob. Again, my optic is a Leupold VX3 with the zero stop knob on it here. It is a 3.5 to 10 1-inch tube. The rings are Leupold quick detach. They are a quick detach weaver ring. I think QWR. I could be wrong on that though. But all in all, I think it should make a pretty decent rifle for something more in like 100-yard in range for any kind of type of terrain where you're not going to have any long distance shots or anything. That's why I'm not going to bother to set up a bipod on it. I do got to get a sling on it. That's about the only other thing I need to put on it. I initially got it for like more in timber deer hunting, something that, like I mentioned, where your farthest shot's going to be like maybe 50-75 yards. You don't need a lot of magnification. I know it's not throwing the tightest group down here at 100 yards with the 175 OTM by AAC, but again, I'm looking for more practical accuracy as opposed to like the most tightest groups you can get. And as I mentioned, until I actually build the bench, this thing has got so much play in it that, I mean, it's hard to get it stable. So I think that's doing pretty well. I mean, I know the rifle is probably capable of shooting well under 1 MOA, which, I mean, the rifle, when I bought it, it's probably about 5 years old. The Thunder Ranch model here is discontinued. It is no longer offered by Mossberg. But I mean, it was around a $650 rifle when I bought it. And I mean, that was pretty decent. I bought a 930 JM Pro 22-inch shotgun around the same time. It was around the same amount of money. So, I mean, the Mossberg, their middle range stuff all seems to be about that $650, $700 price. I mean, it's still at that. It's still what you'd consider an affordable firearm. It's not like dirt cheap, a $350, $400 like their baseline model is. I'm not even sure what that is anymore. I've got an old Mossberg ATR 100, which was one of their first bolt actions they came out of under their current style of action, and that was, I think that was like a $250 rifle, which I don't even shoot it that much anymore because that thing has no recoil pad on it, and that's actually pretty a lot to get walloped by. So all in all, I'd have to say should be a good little rifle, a good balance on weight and how heavy like the barrel is and stuff. It is going to be a little barrel heavy, which I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue if you're going to be hunting with like a 10-round magazine like what this Magpul is here. It should be pretty decent. All in all, not that bad. I think that will conclude it for this video here. What I've got on today is it is still a holiday hunt season, which does go through January 1st. So of course I have to have on Blaze Orange if you're going to be out. My pants I have here are by Farmer Rain. They are rain jeans. If you're going to be sitting on like a wet bench like this was, it always helps to have pants that are completely waterproof. I'll be doing a little bit of shooting later off the ground. It's going to be wet and muddy, so of course any kind of like pants, clothing, you name it, that you can just wipe clean with a damp cloth as opposed to having mud tracked anywhere is definitely a good idea. I know none of this is like tactical, which is everything on the gun tube space wants to gear more toward its tactical, but I think it's better to actually push more practical clothing, more practical kind of setups, loadouts, that kind of stuff than all the tactical stuff, because I mean, primarily all I'm looking at doing is hunting and maybe some recreational, like shooting on the weekend if I have any spare ammo and time. So something to take into consideration when you're looking for your next purchase. Think about less tactical, more practical. Of course, on that note, I did over the Christmas holiday season order a Geisley Super Duty with their brand new heavy barrel profile. So I guess that's going more toward the tactical field, but that I hopefully will get in within the next couple of weeks, and we'll be doing a video on that probably maybe in February, March some time frame. So stay tuned for that.